Hey guys, Future Gohan SSJ2 here, and today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different and kind of a treat for you guys. You guys hear me go on and on about Cartoon Network and their shows and yada yada yada. But what do I think of Nickelodeon's cartoons? Well, you're about to find out. Alright, so the first show on the list is none other than SpongeBob SquarePants. I love this show in terms of the older episodes, at least. The newer episodes, well, not to say they're horrid, but, well, it doesn't matter because they're irrelevant at this point. When I'm talking about SpongeBob, I'm talking about the older episodes. I think it's fantastic, especially the older episodes. Like I said, I think it's really good. Then it went to that. It went through this era of like, where they were transitioning through animations. Like, there was an era between their older animation and the animation that they have now. There was an era in between that where it had, like, the cartoons were just flat out weird. It had, like, there was the animation that I'm talking about. There was the episode with the dime where Mr. Krabs lost his dime. There was the training video. All those episodes were some of these episodes that were in between the animation change, and almost all of these episodes were weird. They had such a weird feel to them. They weren't old SpongeBob, and if you watch the new SpongeBob shows they have on now, it's not new SpongeBob. It's kind of its own thing. They were really weird. Not to say that they were bad. Heck, I loved that dime episode. And the training video is one of their most popular episodes. But if you look at it, it's really weird, and it kind of sticks out, and it always did to me when I was a kid. But whenever I first saw SpongeBob, I believe it was in 1999, I wasn't at a hotel. I was staying at a friend or relative of my parents' house, and you know, they were talking or whatever, and so they turned on the TV for me, and they were like, "Oh, what do you like, cartoons?" And they turned on Nickelodeon, and of course, you know, I see this dancing SpongeBob, or this dancing sponge going across the screen, and this pirate asking me if I'm ready. You know, it was very weird. I don't quite remember what the episode was. In fact, I think that's almost impossible to determine because it was so many years ago. Yeah, but yeah, that's what I remember. That's my earliest memory of SpongeBob SquarePants. Yeah, very, very weird memory, but yeah. The next show is The Fairly OddParents. Oh my goodness! Growing up, this was one of my favorite cartoons ever. It really was. It's weird today. I really don't like it that much. Don't get me wrong. You know, I love the old episodes that there are, and I love the newer ones too. And I still love Fairly OddParents, but it's not one of my favorite cartoons ever made. It's not it's not anything spectacular. But as a kid, I loved it. I couldn't get enough Fairly OddParents. I thought it was great. I don't really have an earliest memory of Fairly OddParents. Maybe if I dug deep enough, but at the moment, I'm drawing a blank. I don't remember when the first time I saw Fairly OddParents was. It might have been on a VHS I picked up, or it might have been when we first got cable, or when we were on vacation somewhere. It's very hard to determine for shows like these when I actually first saw them. There's no real image in my head that comes up, but I still love Fairly OddParents, not as much as I used to, but it's still an all-around great show, and what can I say, I love it. Rugrats. This show, as a kid, this is weird, as a kid, I never really liked it that much. I'd always get the VHS tapes and things of this sort, and watch them and still enjoy them. But for some reason, I never really could get into it as much as everyone else would. Like, everyone else at my age were like, oh my god, the Rugrats are so awesome, and it's one of the greatest cartoons, on television. And I tried as hard as I could to try to get into it, to try to think the same way they did. Oh, this is the greatest cartoon ever made, and I couldn't. I really couldn't. I thought it was, as a kid, I thought it was decent. No, I couldn't get into it as much as they did. And even today, I watch it from time to time, and I enjoy it a lot more than I did when I was a kid. But nowhere near that level of the people who go crazy for it. And I don't think I have an early memory for this either. I think I saw it in a hotel room or something like that. These things, they're very hard to determine. Rugrats All Grown Up. This was really weird for me as a kid, just trying to cope with the transition from, however long the show had been going on, where it was them as babies, and now, huge jump into the future, they're now teenagers. You go from them being babies to skipping, the young boy age and all that. They're like, well, how old are they? Like 13, 14, 15 maybe? Yeah, it's crazy ridiculous. I think the first time I saw it was, because I think I bought a VHS tape, and I think I might still have it somewhere, of the first Rugrats All Grown Up VHS, and I think that's the first time I saw it. But again, I can't be certain, but I believe that's the first time I saw it. And I always thought it was just a little weird and awkward. I felt like they were just trying to stretch out Rugrats even more, just to have the Rugrats being grown up. I felt that was awkward. In fact, just talking about the series just makes you feel awkward. It was decent, but it's just, like I said, it's just very awkward. The Adventures of Jimmy Neutron. I loved this show as a kid. I never really saw much of it growing up. I saw whatever VHS or DVD I could find. And I loved it, but I never really saw that much of it. Like every episode of such and such a season or whatever. I saw a handful of episodes from each season and stuff like that growing up, and I always loved it. I could never get enough of Jimmy Neutron. I loved the crap out of it. And when I was a kid, I never really thought of, oh, Jimmy Neutron versus Dexter's Lab or anything like that. I never really thought of that when I was a kid. But now that I'm older, I'm like, that'd be a great that'd be a great little battle there. Very very debate worthy, I suppose. Yeah, but first earliest memory of Jimmy Neutron. I don't remember. This is another one where it's just I don't remember. Though one of my fondest memories of Jimmy Neutron is the Jimmy Neutron movie that I happen to own on VHS tape. Still from when I was a kid, it's crazy. Yeah, I still own that VHS, and I haven't watched it in years, but I remember I used to watch it all the time, 24/7 when I was a kid. And it was great. It was great. Yeah, great series. Doug. Doug was a series that I never... I don't even think I saw it on Nick. I think I saw it on ABC Family. Or something like that. But Doug was a series that... I don't know, it was a series that I enjoyed when I was really, really young. And then when I was like 9 or 10, I couldn't find it anymore anywhere. And I'm like, man, I missed that show. I remember that show with like this kid with a dog and magnifying glass or something like that. And then I think I caught it again on Disney or something like that. And I didn't like it. And I think that's from the change, because I heard that it went from Nickelodeon to Disney, and I heard it changed or whatever. But all I remember is that I used to like Doug when I was a kid. I didn't when I was older, and I haven't seen it in years as of right now. So I'm kind of indifferent on it. But I know Nostalgia Critic doesn't like it, so The Ren and Stimpy Show. I'm gonna go out and say this right now, and I know a lot of people aren't going to like me for this, but I haven't seen a complete episode of this series. I saw bits and pieces when I was a kid, and I still see bits and pieces of it now. Never seen a complete full episode. I plan on getting the uncut sets whenever I can, because I already have them in my Amazon cart. I just haven't bought them yet. They're in my saved for later section or whatever. I still need to buy them. But this is a series that I've heard many great things about. I've heard and seen so many obscure, weird things. And of course, who could forget the Happy Happy Joy Joy song or whatever that was. Earliest memory of this was I think I was either in Hollywood Video or Blockbuster. I think I was in Hollywood Video, and there was a VHS tape of the Ren and Stimpy show, and I think my mom recommended it to me because she's like, oh look, I've heard many good things about this kid's cartoon or whatever, and I was like, the Ren and Stimpy show? I've never even heard of that, whatever. And I was just like, no, I'd rather get Pokemon or whatever the heck I was into at that time. Yeah, that's probably my earliest memory. It's also my weirdest memory. But I remember I'd always, catch in on it at random times whenever it would be on Nickelodeon. Again, never seen a full episode, but I'm trying. Oh good lord, Rocko's Modern Life. Okay, this is a series that I never saw as a kid. Growing up, I never saw it. I got into the series when I got cable in like 2007. Well, I didn't just get cable in 2007, but I just started getting into Rocko's Modern Life in like 2007. Or maybe it was 2009. It was either the two. And it's great. It's a great show. And it's funny because I'm sitting here watching this show that I have no nostalgia for, and I'm enjoying it. I think it's great. I like how they have a lot of this. It's got a very Camp Lazlo feel, mostly because it's got Camp Lazlo music, it's got Camp Lazlo voices, it's got Camp Lazlo. It's weird. It's got a very Camp Lazlo feel, and I think it's because of the voices and all that other stuff. But yeah. It's great. I recommend it to anyone. In fact, it's actually one of my top Nicktoons. Even though I never grew up with it, I've seen it recently, and I think it's great. And I watch it whenever it's on Nicktoons, which is very rare. But what can you do? Hey Arnold. This was another series that I was into a lot when I was a kid, but I haven't seen it in years. In fact, I own the Hey Arnold movie on VHS. And I haven't seen or touched that movie in so long. In fact, it's still in my cabinet as we speak. I just haven't seen it in so long. But I remember being great. I try to watch it now, and it's nowhere near as good as I remember it when I was growing up. It could be because I'm watching just the first season or whatever. I watch it sometimes whenever it's on 90s or all that, but and it just feels weird to me. It's nowhere near as good as I remember it being. It's okay. Oh my goodness, Cat Dog. This is one of my absolute favorite Nicktoons ever, and probably even favorite cartoons ever. This has probably one of the greatest openings in the history of animated children's cartoons. It is one of the most nostalgic to me, period. It's just glorious, that opening. Just the opening alone is absolutely phenomenal. It's got an extremely catchy song. It is very nostalgic, especially if you grew up with it. Just hearing the banjo or whatever the heck was going on in the background there, you just start freaking, spouting tears of nostalgic fanboyism over here. It is absolutely insane, and the episodes of those series are so good. They're so good. It could be the nostalgia that's, trying to hook you back into it, but regardless, the episodes are just so good. They're so thought out. They're so imaginative. And just the pure fact of a cat and a dog are fused together. The idea of that is just weird. But, they're able to pull off, great episode ideas flawlessly, so I commend them for that. It's great. The Wild Thornberrys. This is a series that, this is a series, again, I grew up with, but it was one of those series that you watch just kind of because it's on. You don't really watch it because man, I love watching, Wild Thornberrys. Don't get me wrong, I thoroughly enjoyed it whenever it was on. But believe me, if there was something else on at the time, that channel was changed. You believe me. If there was something else important on at the time, you better believe me, that channel was changed. For Wild Thornberrys, again, it's one of those things that you watch when there's nothing else on. It's like, oh, Wild Thornberrys, alright, there's nothing really else on, so why not, And, that's not to say it's a bad thing, because if there's nothing else on and it's the only thing to watch, it gives you decent entertainment, but, you guys know what I mean. This is another movie where I have this is another series where I have the movie on VHS, and that's a weird movie that again I haven't seen in years, but anyway, I think the movie is actually one of my earliest memories of that. Oh my goodness, Rocket Power. This was a series that, when I was growing up, and even now, I have always wondered what people saw in this series. Everyone talked about it. This was the absolute talk of the town. Everyone was talking, hey, Rocket Power is one of the greatest cartoons ever made. It's so good. It's so funny. It's so amazing. I watched it as a kid. I never got it. I watch it now. I still don't get it. I don't get what's so amazing about this show. I saw the episode that was on my Nickelodeon Christmas DVD. Oh, it was one of the most boringest things I've ever seen. The dialogue was awful. Sorry for people who like it, but the dialogue was horrendous. It was constant dudes and yos and no. Sorry, that's just not my kind of thing. I understand that they're surfers, but some of the words and phrases they say is ridiculous. That's just a show that I was never into as a kid, and I still am not into as an adult. I've seen, and believe me, I've seen episodes. It's not that good. In my opinion, at least. And since we go from one that's not so good, we go to Invader Zim. This, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is one of the greatest cartoons ever made. Invader Zim is absolutely amazing. It's just freaking amazing. Okay, the demographic for the series is so huge. This is a series that has a huge hype and a huge fan base, and a series for a Nicktoon that I finally understand. Invader Zim is freaking amazing. It's just the amount of females who are fans of this idiotic robot who hides in a dog costume is ridiculous. Those amount of fans, they are everywhere. There are still people who walk around my school to this day with Gur backpacks. I kid you not. There are still kids who walk around my school with Gur backpacks. And that series ended a long time ago. That series' hype ended a long time ago. And stuff like Gur backpacks and even talks of Invader Zim is still going around like crazy. And Invader Zim is actually on Netflix. I watch it from time to time, and it is phenomenally amazing. My earliest memory of Invader Zim, I actually never saw it on TV first. I rented the DVDs. I rented the DVDs from Hollywood Video or Blockbuster, but I always preferred Hollywood Video. But I would occasionally go to Blockbuster if Hollywood didn't have whatever I wanted. But I remember I would rent they had 3 DVDs out, and I'd always rent the first 2. I don't think I've ever seen the third one. I think I may have rented it once. But yeah, I always remember I got the first 2 DVDs, and one of the most memorable episodes, and probably my favorite episode of Invader Zim in its entirety. Then again, I haven't seen all of them, but probably one of my favorites has to be the episode where, forgive me, I apologize, the emo goth girl, she goes to the mall to get that brand new video game, and this nerd in front of her gets the final copy, and she wants it so bad, so she's haunting him throughout the entire episode just to give him it back, or just so she can get the copy of the game. I don't know. It was one of my favorite episodes, and I think it still is. Haven't seen it forever, but Anyways, Chalk Zone. This is a series that I enjoyed as a kid. I've seen in recent years, and I still enjoy it. Chalk Zone is imaginative. Its animation isn't spectacular, but it's good, and it's imaginative. One of the characters, the blue one or whatever, he actually does remind me a lot of Blue from Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. Or perhaps vice versa, since Chalk Zone probably came first. Well, not probably, I know it did. Yeah, Chalk Zone was a series that I always had felt was very imaginative with the magic chalk. And, writing on the chalkboard and going into another whole nother world. It was something that I myself even tried out. Yeah, I know, leave me alone. It was great. It was just great. My earliest memory, probably hotel. Probably watched it in a hotel. Most of my earliest memories for anything would have to be watching them in a hotel because, again, I know I've mentioned this a whole bunch of times, but I didn't have cable growing up. But I always did have, but we always did vacation a lot, and there always were, the hotels that had Cartoon Network or Nickelodeon or so far, so on and so forth. But, yeah. My Life as a Teenage Robot. This is a series that, much like Rocko's Modern Life, I got into in just recent years. But I believe I got into My Life as a Teenage Robot far earlier than Rocko's Modern Life. My Life as a Teenage Robot reminded me a lot of Powerpuff Girls. Mostly because it stars a female protagonist. But it just, in its animation style and in its characters, it was just amazing. Just the ideas that they would come up with for the villains. It's really tough to remember stuff about that series, but I do remember really liking all of the characters, even the nerd guy who had a crush on Jenny. And then there was the guy that Jenny liked, who and that guy's brother. God, there's just so much to remember about that series, but I haven't seen it in quite some time. But again, great series. Danny Phantom. This is a series that I got into long after Fairly OddParents, but before 2007. I think I got into this around 2005, maybe. And then, I'm gonna be honest with you. When I got into Danny Phantom, I went through a huge Danny Phantom phase. You know, Danny Phantom, along with some other things like Ninja Turtles or whatever the hell. Um, you know, but I went through this huge Danny Phantom stage. As you can tell, I'm no longer in it. And I haven't seen it in a while. And I do catch it whenever it's on. It's nowhere near as good as I remember it being. Don't get me wrong, it's still good, it's still entertaining. But it could be because I've seen every episode when I was a kid like 1,000,001 times. And they'd always show the episodes out of order when I was growing up. So I'd always have to, you know, try and piece it together myself. You know, oh, so if this happened in this episode, then that means what this happened in this episode means this, and, you know, whatever. And I was able to do that. I was able to piece it all together almost perfectly. I had some pieces put in different puzzle spots, but yeah. My earliest memory for that was probably Hotel. I don't think I watched that at my house. Well, not until far later. Avatar: The Last Airbender. Again, another series that well, actually, the first time I ever saw this series was when it actually aired. See, it was like a couple days after it aired on Nickelodeon is when I saw it, or maybe the day after. Cause see, I don't remember where I was. I was in a some sort of auditorium or something like that, where like this church event was going on or something like that, and they had this. They had, you know, a big screen TV that had Nickelodeon on, and I couldn't really hear anything because, you know, it was on low volume and everyone was talking and I couldn't really hear what was going on. But I was watching it, and it was the episode, I think it was the second episode, where it's got Aang and he's in his swimsuit and he's riding on that giant fish trying to impress Katara. Yeah, it was that episode. They were having a marathon of like the first 5 episodes or something like that, and God, yeah, that's definitely my earliest memory. And Avatar: The Last Airbender, even by anime fans, which is hilarious when you think about it, even by anime fans, is considered an anime, which technically technically Avatar: The Last Airbender is an anime because the art is made in Korea. But excuse me. But you know, I love this show a lot. I've seen the majority of the episodes and I know the story. Yeah. And then the final cartoon on my list is Cat Scratch. This is one of my favorite Nicktoons of all time. I haven't seen it in years, but I do remember when I first started watching it, and I believe it was 2007 was when I first started watching it. I think it's glorious. I really love this series. It reminded me a lot of Cat Dog without being too similar to Cat Dog. God, it's very hard to explain, but excuse me again. Cat Scratch, I remember it starred 3 cats, I think. One was a black cat. The other one was the black cat was he was like very smart or deceiving or something like that. And then there was the orange and white cat who was very stupid. And then there was one more. I can't remember who it looked like or what it looked like or who it was, but all I remember is that I loved Cat Scratch. If I watch it today, I may or may not enjoy it, but the fact still remains, when I watched it as a kid, I loved it, and yeah. Anyways, guys, it's going up on the 30-minute mark. If there's a certain cartoon that you didn't see on here, the reason why it wasn't on here was because I only was able to talk about cartoons that I had actually seen at least one episode of, or something that I felt like I wanted to talk about. But, yeah, other than that, I believe that I am done. So I apologize for the lack of videos lately. There are more coming soon. But yeah, I will catch you guys later. Peace.